Welcome one, welcome all to Max's Mike. I'm Max and I have the mic, and today is draft day. That's right, folks. Today marks the opening day of the 2025 NFL draft. It starts tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Green Bay, and it's time for me to give my final mock draft. This is me quickly just running through what I think will happen tonight without trades because it's really hard for me at least, to judge and figure out who's going to make a trade and for what, because it really doesn't feel like anyone wants to move up because for whatever position they want to upgrade, I feel that there is a really good player that will fit each team. So I'm going to just quickly run through, give maybe a little brief comments about who I think is going to be taken where, a nice and quick video that you get to watch as a viewer right before the draft. You can also just come back and check out after the fact to see how close I was to being accurate. If you like and enjoy this video and want to see more content, like and subscribe down below. Also check out the Instagram, Max's Mike on Instagram. Let's get into it. Titans, the first pick. I think they're going to go with Cam Ward. I think that Cam Ward, while I don't believe he really is true first overall value, will go to the Titans as they're the only team seemingly, especially that is quarterback needy, that has not gone out and gotten a quarterback. So that is why I think that they've just decided they're going with Cam Ward. Now, number two, the real player who I think deserves to be one, but he's going to go two, is Travis Hunter. I say he deserves to be one because he's solid. He's a top-end, first-round caliber player at both offense as a receiver and defensively as a corner, and being that late first-round, early second-round caliber player at both sides elevates you to being a top overall pick. He's a great player that is going to be great on either side of the ball, whichever he chooses to focus on. But I think that if he focuses on one side, which in this case with the Browns could potentially be receiver, but I think that he's really more going to be a corner with the Browns. If he just focuses on one and then plays some of the time on the other side, he will turn into a great player. Number three, the Giants. I think they're going to go with Abdul Carter. Yes, they have two solid edge rushers in Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux. The Giants could do two things with Abdul Carter. One, with drafting him, is that they can just then go and trade Kayvon Thibodeaux. Or two, they can move him back to that outside linebacker position that's now available. And then also from there, blitz him on occasion. They can alternate with Kayvon, who's in, who's out. They can, again, move him to that outside. So there's plenty of availability, plenty of moverability that the Giants can do. And also, again, if they get Abdul, they trade Kayvon, they can then get pieces to upgrade their team. Now, are they going to get that much for Kayvon? Not necessarily. However, with this Giants team in the position that they're in, anything that they can get is going to turn into even more of an upgrade. Four, I got the Patriots taking Will Campbell. Really feels like they didn't go and upgrade the offense too much. They got Stephon Diggs, a receiver. They can definitely go get another receiver. They definitely need a running back, but this draft class is deep in running back, so they really don't need to waste a pick early. And I think that Will Campbell can benefit this team, whether as a tackle or a guard. Wherever he is, the Patriots need the offensive line help. They need to continue to build around Drake May. They're doing just that. Number five, the Jags. I think the Jags go with best available. And I think that they hone in again defensively. And while I do actually believe that best available here is Ashton Jeanty, the running back class is so deep that I don't think that the Jags are that needy for a running back. Another running back could help because I don't really feel confident about their running backs right now. But I think that they could find someone to help out that running back room later in the draft should they want to try and go upgrade that. Tank Bigsby, Trevor Etienne are solid backs, but definitely one of them could be replaced. But I do think that they can get those later. That being said, Mason Graham is the best defensive player available, and that's why I had them going there. On the other hand, the Raiders are desperately needy for a running back, so I have them taking Ashton Jeanty. Then at 7, I have, and again, this is what I think will happen, I have the Jets taking Armand Membou. I think that the Jets are going to go with Membou. They need the offensive line help. However, I think the Jets should take Tyler Warren, who now I have slipping and falling quite low. But I have them taking Memu because I feel like that's just who they're going to pick. But I like Tyler Warren more because Tyler Warren, not only does he upgrade in the passing game because he's a good run and pass blocker, but he also upgrades that receiving room should you want to throw him out as a receiver. So I think Tyler Warren's the better pick, but I believe that the Jets are going to end up taking Membu. That's my 2 cents. If I were the Jets, I'd take Warren, but I think the Jets are going to take Membu, so that's why I have them in this mock as taking Membu. 8, the Panthers. I got the Panthers taking Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia, versatile player, solid in pass, also pretty good off the edge. I like the way he plays the game of football. Next, we got the Saints at 9, and the Saints seemingly continue to make poor decisions by the fact that their salary cap is in absolute shambles, yet they continue to go sign more players. And I don't think their poor decisions will stop, as I have them taking Shedeur Sanders at number 9. Shedeur Sanders is not a first-round caliber player. I think that Cam Ward is fringe. Shedeur Sanders is not. But then again, the Saints continue to make poor decisions. I think Sanders could be a decent pick maybe later. Maybe the Steelers take him at 21, although it feels a little early, but I could see the Steelers taking him at 21. And part of it is that Shedeur isn't that good, but also, and the reason why I think this is a really bad decision for the Saints is because they have Spencer Rattler, who could turn into something if you give him the attention to, but now you're going to go out and draft another quarterback who's going to need the same amount of attention to grow. So then what's the reason in having the first guy? I don't know. So we'll see what happens, but I believe that if the Saints take Shedeur Sanders, their team's going to kind of be in shambles. Who do I think the Saints should take? Walter Nolan's a solid pick. Ted McMillan. I'm a huge fan of Tetairoa McMillan. But that's why, in the end, I think the Saints are going to take Shedeur Sanders. Number 10, the Bears. Malachi Starks. They're going to just pick through a few more and hurry this up a little bit so that you're not sitting here waiting too long. 49ers, Josh Simmons. I have them taking him because, yes, his injury is still a question mark for me. However, I think that this Niners, especially the tackles, are pretty solid, but are getting up there in age. So I think that Simmons can definitely wait the start of the year, and then if they want to move him in guard and start him immediately, they can. I also think that he could just test well come the start of the summer trainings and team practices and the preseason, and then just slot himself into this offensive line wherever they need fit. They do need the offensive line help. I could see Josh Simmons moving inside. I could see him also just taking some time to grow behind some really good tackles that the Niners have. 12, I have the Cowboys taking Matthew Golden. Do I think they should take Matthew Golden? No. Do I think that there are other receivers currently available that are better than Golden? Yes. I think Tetairoa McMillan and Emeka Egbuka are both better receivers than Matthew Golden. However, the Cowboys are another team that don't seem to make the right decisions that best help the team, but rather decisions that kind of bring some attention to them. So let's keep the hometown receiver in the hometown and get Matthew Golden. 13, the Dolphins. They need a corner, and I have them taking the best corner in this draft in Will Johnson. And while I had dropped him down a little bit behind Jahdae Barron, I've realized after watching some tape that I really do feel that Will Johnson is the best corner in this draft. And that's why I've now elevated him above Jahdae Barron, because although he is injured, hearing some good news about the fact that injury is not going to limit him too much. So Will Johnson. And now 14, back to the Colts, and this is where I have Tyler Warren going, and I just feel that every team from the Jets down are just not going to take Tyler Warren because they're going to see that there's another guy that they would rather have. And I feel like you look at the Saints, they could take Tyler Warren, but I think they're going to take Shedeur. Bears, I think they like Cole Kmet better. Niners, they've got Kittle. Cowboys got Schoonmaker and Jake Ferguson. Jonnu Smith with the Finns is starting to get better. So Tyler Warren just falls his way to the Colts, which is where he was really getting mocked a few weeks ago, about a month or so ago, especially right before the Combine. 15, Mike Green at a Marshall edge rusher to the Falcons. Really like Mike Green. I've started to really watch some of his tape, finally getting time to watch his tape. And yeah, when they say that you find a top end talent out of some of these lower end D1 schools like Marshall that aren't in a power, I guess it's now power four school from like Marshall. They've got to be, and well, this guy is good. There's notification. Hope that doesn't go through. Anyways, Cardinals at 16, Jahdae Barron. They need some corner help. 17, the Bengals. I got them taking Walter Nolan. And then 18, the Seahawks. And if you listen to my show that I co-host with Parker Hollandoner on VIC Radio between the 20s, he's really expressed this. And again, now that I've gotten to spend some real quality time watching tape, I agree with him. Seahawks, you got to take Gray Zabel. Now, Parker's expressed how he doesn't think they're going to do that and thinks they might go with a defensive player, which could potentially really help this team. But this team really needs the tackle. Gray Zabel could also bounce inside the guard. They also really need guard. Zabel's the guy that they should take. 19, Jihad Campbell to the Buccaneers. Something that I've just been really mocking. Really seems like a great fit. I really like Jihad Campbell and out of Alabama. And I don't know why it just feels like that's a great spot for him to go as the Bucs. 20 is an interesting spot with the Broncos, trying to figure out who exactly I think they're going to take. But I have them taking Omarion Hampton. And while I do think that Ashton Jeanty is on a whole nother level compared to Omarion Hampton as it pertains to being a running back, I've watched a lot more of Hampton's tape, and I really see why he was considered a top-end talent and why he's the second best running back in this class. He's really a strong back, especially at UNC, where, let's be real, that UNC team last year wasn't the best. But Hampton seemingly finding ways to create opportunities. 21, I've got the Steelers taking Kelvin Banks. I really don't think they're going to go Jackson Dart. The Steelers need some all-offensive line help. I could also see them taking maybe a safety and Nicky Manwari here. But I think right now I'm going with Kelvin Banks. I think that's where they're going to go. 22, another guy I've been mocking here to the Chargers is Colston Loveland. I have Colston Loveland dropping again. Warren and Loveland, two tight ends that could go earlier. We'll see what these teams really think, but that's where I have them going. 23, James Pierce Jr. to the Packers. Packers need edge help. They also need corner help, but I don't really think that they'll really like the corners that are available here, and they'll maybe think they could get another corner a little later in the draft instead of reaching for him here. So I have them go with James Pierce Jr., who is really good, although he didn't produce as well as many would have thought this past season. 24, Kenneth Grant to the Vikings. Kenneth Grant, really another great defensive interior D tackle out of Michigan. Michigan's D tackles are incredible, and it really took me to watching the college football playoff to realize that as I watched Michigan beat up Ohio State and thought, wow, every team just needs to do what Michigan did. And then I realized every team can't do what Michigan did because they don't have the defensive tackles to be able to get pressure on Will Howard without the help of six guys coming off the edge to help them. I'm like, oh, Michigan, they're rushing four. They're able to come up with this rush scheme that applies pressure and get pressure on Will Howard and then be able to drop all the extra guys back. Oh, these teams don't need to rush six to get pressure when they can only do it with four. Well, then I realized that all these teams in Oregon and Texas and Notre Dame don't have the personnel to be able to only rush four guys and not have to rush six to try to get a little bit of pressure on Will Howard and to be able to stop that great Ohio State run game that was run primarily through, and that Ohio State offense was run through their offensive line, which is why at pick 25 with the Texans, I have Donovan Jackson, a guy who hasn't been mocked this high, but let's be real, watch those tapes. Ohio State was able to do what they do. Jeremiah Smith was able to do what he did because the offensive line gave Will Howard so much time. It gave Jeremiah Smith so much time to get open. Without that offensive line, I don't think that Ohio State team is nearly as good as they were this past year. Yeah, the defense was great, but the offense would not have put up the production, and I don't think that the offense and this Ohio State team would have been able to beat Notre Dame, Texas, even Tennessee and Oregon in the playoffs. They would not have been able to do that run. They would not have been able to even be so much as eligible. They would not have beaten Penn State without the offensive line being as good as they were. So Donovan Jackson at Ohio State, pick 25. Pick 26, Josh Connolly Jr. Rams, they need some tackle help. 27, Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College. Great edge rusher going to the Ravens, leaving Shamar Stewart to go to the Lions. I think the Lions are looking to get another edge rusher to be there, to be the tandem to, oh my God, this great Lions pass rush that really has not just shut down the run game, which has been incredible the last few seasons, but also gotten great pressure. And so getting another guy in Shamar Stewart to be able to add to the run defense and then be able to help in the pass rush even more and help out this pass defense, because the Lions has struggled in the pass defense. And of course, you can upgrade the secondary, which they've done in a way, but you can also just simply upgrade your pass rush, which again, you get pressure on the quarterback sooner, faster, especially a lot of these quarterbacks are starting to become really great scramblers. Look at a guy like Jaden Daniels, who just knocked out the Lions last year. Moving on, pick number 29, Washington. I got them taking Benjamin Morrison. They need some help in the secondary. I have the Bills taking Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State just because I really feel like the Bills, they need help on the defensive interior. That's kind of where they got beat against the Chiefs, up the inside. So they're definitely looking to stop that, as well as, again, get pressure on these quarterbacks. 31, I have the Chiefs going an interesting route, taking Savone Revel. I could also see if Donovan Jackson isn't taken earlier, if the Steelers go with a safety or a corner, like a Nicky Manwari, a safety, and then Kelvin Banks falls at 25, and then you've got Josh Connolly Jr. going 26. You could see Donovan Jackson fall to 31 to the Chiefs, but I also think that they're going to look to upgrade their secondary after getting absolutely torched by the Eagles. So I've got them taking Savone Revel. And then speaking of the Eagles, to wrap up this mock draft, my final one, I've got the Eagles taking Michael Williams out of Georgia. Somehow he ends up falling all the way down to the Eagles, and they will happily take him. So that's my final mock draft. Those are my final thoughts, as the draft is right around the corner in just about an hour and a half. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy that draft tonight. Stay tuned for more content coming out here on the channel. Again, if you liked this video, subscribe, like the video, and also let me know what you think is going to happen or your reactions post-draft, and if you're happy with the picks your team made. Enjoy the draft.